everybody, it's D from D&D Ditches, and today the D stands for direct delivery to your door. And look what I got direct delivered to my door. And that's just in the last week. So I thought it might be fun to do an unboxing video. Let's break open these boxes and see what I've got. First of all, you can see that I've received a new playmat. This is based on the new artwork done by DiTerlizzi for the new 5e Planescape box set. There are 3 of these, so this is the artwork for the Githyanki. I also ordered the one for the Lady of Pain, and then there is a third one. I'm still waiting for the Lady of Pain one to arrive. So this first box is from Noble Knight Games. Now, I've known about Noble Knight Games for the last 10 or 12 years or so, but this is the first time that I've actually bought from them. And the reason that I've never bought from them before is more of a personal thing, because they do not show pictures of the individual items being listed for sale. So me being a control freak was like, oh, I can't really guarantee the quality of these items. So they recently had a sale, and given I'm a big fan of Tony DiTerlizzi, he actually has some merch for sale on Noble Knight Games, and I was like, well, let me give it a go. And then I looked at their other items, and I thought, well, since there's a sale on, I'm just gonna I'm just gonna put through an order and see what comes in, and based on that, I'll decide whether I'll order from them again. Seems like all the items are individually packed. That's nice. Put the blade away. Ooh, okay. So this is the Forgotten Realms Conspectus. I think I got this for something like 7 or 8 Australian dollars. So I thought that was super cheap, and I thought, why not? Now I own the Planescape Dark Sun and Birthright Conspectus. I don't own that many Forgotten Realms items, so I don't have this one. I just thought maybe I pick it up. It's actually in really good condition. If you watched my box set video, I've talked a little bit about the Conspectus. Basically, they were promotional items that TSR did for each of the settings, and there were 5 released. I just mentioned Planescape, Dark Sun, Birthright, now Forgotten Realms, and the 5th one I believe is Dragonlance, which I don't own. So this is a map of Faerun, and on the back is a list of the modules released for Forgotten Realms. Forgotten Realms was the most prolific setting for TSR. I mean, it still is, has always been. So the second book is Dark Sun 2e, The Will and the Way. Obviously this is one of the books for Dark Sun that I was missing. A few scuff marks on the back. A few light scuff marks on the front. But overall pretty good. There's a little bit of damage to the cover, just a very little bit. But the interior is very nice. Actually, the interior is very clean. You can tell by the barcode if they're original or a reprint, because the original will have the ISBN on there, whereas the print-on-demand ones will not have them. The Dark Sun is the post-apocalypse setting of Dungeons and Dragons, and in this setting, psionics is very important. Every single thing has psionics, whether it be player characters, NPCs, animals, plants, everything on Athos, which is the world of Dark Sun, has psionics, and this book essentially expands on the psionic rules of Dark Sun. A lot of people consider this book a must-have, if you're playing 2nd edition AD&D and you are playing psionics with Dark Sun. So this third book is a Noble Knights Games exclusive, I believe, the pen and ink drawings of Tony DiTerlizzi. If you see my other videos, I would have mentioned his name about 200 times. He was the designer for Planescape, and then he went on to create the Spiderwick Chronicles. Now let's have a flip through of this book. So this comes with a sticker. This is very cute. It says, "This Planescape book belongs to..." I have seen this illustration before. I think that the idea is that you will paste this on one of your notebooks and write your name on it. For example, "This Planescape book belongs to D," and I can write my name on there. I can also see that this book has been autographed. So we have an introduction. You can see some of his sketches from the early 90s. Now, prior to Planescape, I know that he illustrated parts of the 2E Monstrous Manual, and also he did some work on Dark Sun. I believe he illustrated the book called The Elves of Athos, and he also illustrated Dragon Mountain. So I don't recognize these sketches, but I do recognize these. Both of these images are from the Monster Manual. The Mind Flayer illustration was quite famous. Interesting that they're not colored. This is just the black and white sketches. I'm starting to see some Planescape artwork. That's the Quasar, I believe, that was used in the Planes of Conflict box set, because Quasar are from Elysium, or it might be in the entry for one of the monstrous supplements or one of the monstrous compendiums. And now he's starting to move away from Dungeons & Dragons and TSR. This is from 1999. I don't recognize these images, but they're very, very nice. One of the things that I really like about Tony DiTerlizzi is that his characters and monsters have so much personality. It's always the eyes. It's like they're always looking at something, and it's there's always some kind of an expression in their face, even though sometimes he might be drawing a devil or a demon or some kind of fiend. They would have such an expression on their faces and their eyes, where it suggests that these are creatures with personalities rather than just being plain evil. (2014). Now, I don't recognize these illustrations because they do not seem like they're from Dungeons & Dragons, but these are still Dungeons & Dragons monsters. We've got the Quasit and also the Zorn, which is an earth elemental type creature. (2019). This is a beautiful book. I'm gonna have to have a closer look at these illustrations later on. Next up, we have a Birthright book. This is the Player Secrets of Hogunmark. This is one of the rarer books. So for the Birthright setting, TSR released 14 of these. The idea is that these are the Birthright domain source books, and the 15th one was released via PDF. This is particularly rare because it was released as an RPGA exclusive. Now, I clearly don't live in the US, so I have only a very little understanding about RPGA, but from what I understand, when they used to hold these conventions for Dungeons & Dragons, that RPGA used to be running the conventions. Normally the cover would be color, like these ones. but I think that this one's released as black and white because this is just how RPGA releases their products. This would also be in color. And also, these domain source books, generally the cover would actually fold out into a screen. Because if I open this one, see how the cover folds out into something like a DM screen, whereas these products are actually designed for players. So the idea is that each of the players, if you're playing Birthright, could actually have an individual screen like that. Could you imagine the table if every single player and the DM had a screen? That would just take up all the room on the table. So we have the player secrets of Stjordvik. I think that might be how you pronounce it. You see, the booklet itself is also printed in color, whereas this one, because it was an RPGA exclusive, is just stapled and it's printed in black and white. But given how rare this is, I would say that it's a collector's item. And generally, this would also be the most expensive of the Player Secrets series. Some of the earlier Player Secrets prices are still reasonable. You might be able to find them for $10 or $20. We have another Birthright Player Secrets. This is Torhival. I might be butchering these pronunciations. This is sealed. New and sealed. We have Player Secrets of Binsada. So the reason why I bought so many of these is generally on eBay, because I live in Australia, they would charge me shipping per item for eBay International. eBay International generally don't combine shipping, so it becomes very expensive when I have to purchase multiple books, because I'll be paying shipping on each and every one of them, and the shipping is usually as expensive, if not more, than the product itself, especially for these Player Secrets Birthright products, because a lot of them are actually quite cheap. This is also in very good condition. So I think this is 8 items that I purchased. Each of them are individually sealed. They're all in pretty good condition. Most of them I purchased were either near mint, or I think I got 1 or 2 that were VG plus. You can see this one's VG plus. But even the VG plus ones, the conditions are actually really good. So despite them not posting photos of the items, I'm actually really impressed. And for 8, let me just count them. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Yep, 8 items. I only paid $60 Australian for shipping, and that's insane. On eBay, I could be paying $60 per item. So Noble Knight Games, I am very impressed. You will get business from me again. And the last book we have is Birthright King of the Giantdowns. This is an adventure book. This is the only adventure that I am missing. So now I own all of the adventures. Let's have a look at this one. This was the last one that was released, and it's 64 pages. Of all of the Birthright adventures, this is the most expensive. So this was released in 1997. This is towards the end of the product line. At this point, TSR was really having a lot of cash issues. Usually these pages are printed with some color, but this is grayscale. So you can tell that them cutting out the color in this book was an attempt to reduce cost. As you see, this is clearly meant to be printed in color, because in grayscale, there's no way I can even read that. Like even in person, I can't read that. So next up, I have these two. I believe that they both came from the same seller on eBay. Sometimes when I purchase multiple items, they will arrive in separate packages. And it's another Birthright adventure. We have the Birthright Player Secret of Talinie and Player Secrets of Endier. So like I said, Birthright has released 14 of these player secrets. You'll be seeing plenty of these. Very nice condition. This one was written by Colin McComb, who is a key contributor in the Planescape line, but he was one of the creators of Birthright. I think of Birthright as Planescape's younger and more favored sibling, so they were designed around about the same time. So TSR thought that Birthright was going to be their next success, so they put most of their resources towards Birthright, and Planescape was pretty much left to its own devices, and this is part of the reason why Planescape was able to be so creative, because management was not interfering in the development. So I think of it like Birthright was the younger sibling that got to go to college, whereas Planescape was the more creative older sibling that went to art school, community art school. And we have Birthright Sword and Crown. This was the first adventure released for Birthright, and it comes with a map. So the shtick with Birthright is that it's a domain or kingdom ruling game. It's kind of like a precursor of Pathfinder Kingmaker. So in this setting, you got to play as a ruler or a regent of a domain or a country. And there are some rules about get to engage in warfare and skirmishes with your neighboring country. And it's more about politics, and I do like it quite a bit. Okay, another Birthright book, The Player Secrets of Roesone. I think this was the first Player Secrets product that was released. This also includes photocopies of the players. Oh, look at that. This is some players' character sheet. You can tell this copy of the book was actively used by another player. This book is well used, but I don't mind. This is there's a little bit of wear and tear on the corners. It seemed like whoever owned this book previously really enjoyed it. And we have another Birthright product. This is Campaign Expansion, Tribes of the Heartless Waste. There are multiple books in here, and also these are the domain cards I talked about Birthright having skirmishes and war with other countries. This is what the players would use. It turned the combat into a bit of a card game. So this was also released in 1997. I talked about TSR's financial troubles during this time. So what happened earlier on in the Birthright product line was that a lot of these expansions were released as box sets. This was clearly designed to be a box set, given it was mostly the box sets that contained the cards, and given this product having two separate books, one for the players, one for the DMs, I would say this was originally designed to be a box set, but due to TSR trying to cut costs, it was released in this state instead. There is actually a bit of a story related to this product. This is actually the second time that I purchased this. I had purchased it on eBay prior to this, but there was a bit of a mix-up. And what happens when you purchase an item on eBay to be shipped internationally is that the seller will send the product to the eBay hub, and then the hub will on-forward that product internationally and be sent to me. So the original seller that I purchased this book from sold 2 items at the same time, and they sent 2 books to the eBay hub, but what happened was that eBay mixed them up. So the seller later contacted me and said, hey, about that book that you purchased, some other guy got it. So you might receive something in the mail, but it's not going to be the book that you bought. So it eventually arrived, and what I got instead of this book, I got the complete book of Dwarves. So I went back to eBay and I found another seller that was selling this item, and I purchased it again, and this is when it arrived. I compared the prices on both of these, and I'm pretty sure the Birthright book costs quite a bit more than the complete book of Dwarves, although this book does look like it's in pretty good condition, and it's one of the books that I don't own anyway, so I'm like, okay, what are you gonna do? The sellers asked me to put through a request to eBay to get a refund because this was eBay's mix-up. So somewhere else in the world, there is a unsatisfied customer who received a copy of the Birthright Tribes of the Heartless Waste when they wanted the complete book of Dwarves. So if that's you, contact me and maybe we could get a swap going. And that's going to be the last Birthright product that we're going to show off today, I swear. I am almost complete with my Birthright collection. I am just missing 2 of the player secrets, and I would have the complete run. This is Dark Sun, Defilers and Preservers, the Wizards of Athos. So previously we had looked at a Dark Sun book. You might have noticed that the Dark Sun logo of this book looks different to the one on this book. That's because this is the original logo that Dark Sun was launched with, and in, I believe, 1994 they re-released Dark Sun with the revised setting using this logo. During 2nd edition, all of the settings received meta story that was developed through supplements, the modules, adventures, and the tie-in novels. So every few years the worlds would actually change. So an updated campaign setting would be released, which summarizes any of the changes. Dark Sun released a pentology of novels called the Prism Pentad, which changed a lot about the world of Dark Sun and Athos and the villains and the NPCs in the world. When they released a revised campaign setting box set, they expanded the world. Defilers and Preservers which are the two types of wizards in Athos, the Defilers that would actively use nature to fuel their magic, and Preservers would draw just enough life force to power their magic. Let's have a little flip through. So it looks like this book gives some additional expansion for the wizards, some additional spells, and talks about the Veil Alliance. The Veil Alliance is a secret society of preserver wizards. The thing about Athos is that if you're an arcane caster, if you are a wizard, the majority of the populace cannot determine the difference between a defiler or a preserver. So if a preserver was to cast a spell in public, people would most likely turn hostile against the wizard. We can talk more about Dark Sun when I start covering Dark Sun material. Oh, this next one is a big one. There should be 2 box sets in here. This is from Interstate. This is not from International. If you're still watching the video, why not give this a thumb up? And subscribe if you want to see more unboxing videos. I also make other Advanced Dungeons & Dragons 2nd edition content. Got a lot more of Planescape content coming up. Reviews, retrospectives, lore videos, or you can leave a comment and tell me what you want to see. So in this one we have Dungeon Magazine issue 31. So TSR released 2 magazines to supplement the Dungeons & Dragons line. There was Dragon, which contained a lot of information for DMs and players, talks about new abilities, new lore, new monsters, new stories. And then there was Dungeon, which published adventures. So if you had a subscription to Dungeon, every month or so, you'll have new adventures to play. We also have Dragonlance. Dragonlance was very popular back in the 90s due to a series of novels, which I've never read, so I personally don't have a lot of reverence for Dragonlance. We have Greyhawk Adventures. Greyhawk was the setting that was created by Gary Gygax, one of the creators of Dungeons & Dragons. This is Forgotten Realms Dark Hold. This is an adventure which involves Zentarum by the looks of things. And this looks like the Forgotten Realms. This is 3E. This is the 3E Forgotten Realms logo. So this looks like the DM screen for 3rd edition Forgotten Realms. And it's clearly Drizzt. The artwork is nice. Next one we have is Ravenloft Realm of Terror box set, known as the Black Box, which is the very first campaign setting released for Ravenloft. So the box itself is a bit banged up. So Ravenloft campaign setting is the gothic horror setting in 2nd edition. It came about after the original Ravenloft module from 1E, which has now been adapted into Curse of Strahd. Due to the success of the original Ravenloft module, they introduced the Domains of Dread, which is what Ravenloft, the setting, is all about. So you have these domains like Katakas and Nvidia. This is the map of the Domains of Dread. Now, given this is the black box release, the very first Ravenloft box, you can see that all of the domains are connected. This setting was revamped 2 more times during 2nd edition with the updated box fans call the red box. Now, there were meta story that happened between the black box and the red box called the Grand Conjunction, and what happened was that the domains were shifted around. There was a giant hole in the center called the Shadow Rift, and some of the domains disappeared, and there are new domains which appeared in the updated red box. There are several of these pieces of art. This was the artwork of Strahd that was released in the original Ravenloft module. Now we also have Dark Sun. The box itself is in very poor condition. I got these from a gentleman from Interstate. He's also the one that I acquired the Planescape campaign setting and Planes of Chaos from. If you remember my box set video, those 2 box sets were also a bit beaten up. That's because the previous owner of the box set said that he stored them on top of each other, so the weight of all of these box sets just made them all collapse upon themselves. Now I'm going to try to restore these boxes a little bit and see how I go. Might make a separate video about that. So the Dark Sun campaign setting box set comes with a starter adventure, and this is what you typically get with Dark Sun adventures back in the day. You have a player flip book, which are artwork pieces that you can show the players. And then you have the DM's book, which contains the information such as the scenario, setting the scene, the description, the enemies. So the idea would be, for example, set up as soon as the PCs appear outside the wagon, have them flip to Player's Aid card number 3. So once you get to this part of the story, you would flip to number 3 and show them, shows the players, oh, as you peer outside the window, this is the scene that unfolds. And it also is a bit of a standee, so you can actually stand this up like that, or I guess like this. You've got a piece of the portrait artwork that you can stand it up for the players like that. This just goes to show how much effort TSR used to put into these box sets, with the amount of little knickknacks that it would give you to help you run the game. Now we also have a poster of the art from Dark Sun. So it seems like the poster is stuck together. Ugh. Yeah, better not. I think there was some water damage to this poster, which is causing it to stick together. So Brom was the artist for Dark Sun, and his paintings are amazing. He is also a prolific writer. He is still active. If you Google the name Brom, B-R-O-M. And there's something else that was great with the Dark Sun products. Each of the Dark Sun adventures had a 16-page short story, which goes with the adventure. That will give you some additional lore and world building. And as you can see that we've also got some monster stat blocks. This is the city of Tyr. This is a map of the Tablelands. So the Tablelands is the region in Athos, the planet that is the Dark Sun world, and the setting is set around the Tablelands. So the story with Dark Sun is that arcane magic in this world is fueled by life force. So when you cast arcane magic, what happens is that a part of the land will start dying. And in the past, the planet was devastated due to all of the wizards. In Dark Sun, there are two types of wizards. The Defilers practices arcane magic, which destroys the land, and also Preservers, which are wizards that draw just enough life force as to not do any permanent damage. So in Dark Sun, the world is like this due to all the magic that has destroyed the world. So it is a post-apocalypse setting. It's a magical apocalypse rather than a science fiction apocalypse. It is a harsh setting where survival is not guaranteed. And you start at level 3. And even then, you start the game with 3 characters, because the idea is not all of your characters will survive, so you're going to need a backup. Now I have to say, I only paid to purchase the 2 box sets. All of these were actually sent to me as additional goodies. So if you're out there watching, big thank you. Very much appreciated. These will go nicely in my collection. And that is everything that we have today, and that is a lot. So make sure you like, comment, and subscribe, and hope we get to hang out again in my next video.